Well, this is as far as I can take you.
Oh, thanks for the lift. We're very grateful.
We are.
I see a caravan coming down the other road. They might take you with them, but be careful. When they get to Egypt, they might also try to sell you.
Huh?
Away!
Joseph! Joseph! Joseph!
Joseph!
Yes, I'll be right there.
Having another one of your famous dreams, were you, Joseph?
Well, yes. And who bowed down to you this time, little brother? The king of the Nile, the queen of the night?
It's funny how someone's always bowing down to you, of all people.
But it's only in his dreams.
Did someone bow to you again? Who? What? Tell your father.
It was the moon and 11 stars. And the sun.
Even the sun. You know how I favor you, Joseph, because you're the first son from my beautiful Rachel. You and your baby brother Benjamin are all I have left of her. But you worry me.
He thinks he's our king.
Shall all your brothers, even I, come and bow down to you? I think not.
I'm sorry, Father. I wasn't going to tell my dreams anymore. I don't know what they mean.
Nor do I, but dreams are significant, and yours give me worry. I puzzle over them often. Yes, you worry me, but not enough to deny you a special present.
A present? For me?
We work. He gets presents.
Oh! Come, try it on.
First he thinks he's our king, then our father dresses him like one.
He probably got it for spying on us out in the fields and tattling to Father.
Well, do you like it?
Like it? Why, it's the most wonderful coat I've ever seen. Brothers, look at this!
We are.
What's the occasion?
A proud father needs no occasion to show love for a son.
Well, I wouldn't wear that masterpiece when you ride across the plains to spy on us common shepherds tending our flocks.
Spy? I don't spy. I just visit you and come back and tell Father how everything's going.
Don't be like that, my sons. The boy keeps me informed about the flock, that's all.
Of course I'll wear this coat on my next trip. Oh, these colors will scare off any wild beasts I might meet.
Strange. I thought the opposite. That all those colors might attract them.
Ha! That's enough talk. It's time you poor common shepherds were on your way with the sheep. You've got a 5-day ride ahead of you.
I'll see you in about 2 weeks. Look at that! The dreamer comes. 2 weeks to the day. And you don't think he's a spy?
If he believes I'm going to bow down to him when I see him, it's his face that'll taste the dust.
I'll not bow. Not now. Not ever.
Nor I, spoiled brat.
Wearing that coat like a peacock. What comes of dreams if the dreamer dies?
No, I won't lift my hand to kill a brother.
But if the desert did it for us...
Ah, the dry well.
We could put him in the pit and let nature take its course.
Well,
Well?
Now get him!
What are you... Stop! Stop! Wait, what are you doing? Throw him in.
get the coat. There. You'll have time enough to dream down there. A lifetime.
caravan of Midianites on their way to Egypt. Oh, I've an idea. Let's not let Joseph die in the well. Let's sell him.
To them. To the merchants.
Yes, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
yes, that's right.
No matter how he deserves to rot down there, we should be compassionate. After all, he is our brother. He's all yours.
Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Did they just buy that guy?
Oh, I'm afraid so, Moki. We're back in around 1500 BC, and slavery was very common.
Joseph, tonight, dream of me wearing your beautiful coat. I guarantee you, this dream will be true.
Oh, look! That coat! All those colors!
And they called him Joseph. Are you thinking what I am? That young man may be the Joseph, one of the most famous people in all biblical history.
Oh, then I guess I'd better pay attention, huh?
Joseph, those men waving your coat, the ones who sold you, who are they?
Would you believe? They are my brothers.
Move on! No talking!
If we're in a time and place where brothers sell brothers, and we're with the guys who bought him, I think we're in trouble. If you dig my digging.
We dig. We'll split as soon as we can.
The boy is gone. Where is he? What happened?
We sold him to Midianites. Your share's over there.
We'll splatter this rag with lamb's blood, and we'll tell Father we found it out in the plains. He heard me warn Joseph of the wild animals around here.
Yes. Roar.
Oh, I've bounced so long my rear end is up in my stomach.
We'll pull off at the first turn. What happens to Joseph, Margot?
He gets sold into slavery in Egypt.
Oh, great.
Well, believe it or not, it does turn out great. At first. He's sold to a kind nobleman named Potiphar. And after years and years of hard work and being very, very smart, Joseph was put in charge of all his master's affairs.
A reward for your loyalty and excellence, Joseph. I give you custody over all this, everything you see, my house and all my affairs.
You're generous, my lord Potiphar, and I'm most grateful.
Hey, he's looking good.
Yep, that's what Potiphar's wife thought, too.
Yes, my lady, is there something I can do for you?
Joseph, do you not find me desirable?
Madam, please. I respect my master, your husband, even if you do not.
Wait, Joseph! Come back!
What is it? What happened?
That Hebrew you brought here has mocked us both. He tried to embrace me. I screamed. He ran, see? He left his garment.
Traitor! Seize him! Arrest Joseph! He'll be in my prison until the day he dies, my dearest. I promise you.
Derek, hang a right.
You got it.
Oh, it was great that caravan picked us up.
But Moki was right. They might have been planning to sell us, just the way Joseph's brother sold him to them.
And the way they sold Joseph into slavery in Egypt.
How do you know what happened to Joseph?
Oh, I know his whole story, Moki, and it's fantastic.
Oh, I wish we could jump ahead in time and see what happens.
I wish we could get out of this sandstorm. Those are the symbols to the door to time.
But how?
Margot, where are we?
And when are we?
I've got a funny feeling I know.
Excuse me?
We are in Egypt, in the Pharaoh's capital city, aren't we?
We're looking for a friend of ours, a Hebrew named Joseph. You know him?
Everyone who's anyone knows Joseph. He runs the prison. He's a prisoner himself.
A kid? About 17?
No, a man about 30. Now go away or you will meet him. In prison.
We've jumped forward 13 years.
No wonder my head is still spinning.
Joseph, here are the king's butler and baker. They have angered him. You handle them.
It's not comfortable, but you'll be able to sleep. I don't want to sleep. I might have that dream again. I don't know what it means, and it's driving me crazy.
Surely God knows the meaning of your dreams. Tell it to me. God may show me the meaning.
I saw a grapevine with 3 branches. I squeezed the grapes into the king's cup. Then I served it to the king as I have done when I waited on him.
The 3 branches on the vine are 3 days. In 3 days, you will be back in your job serving Pharaoh. When you are released, please tell him of me. I have done nothing to be in prison for.
I too have had a dream. Would you hear it?
Of course.
There were 3 baskets on my head. Then the birds flew in and ate all the food in the baskets. What is the meaning?
Your 3 baskets are also 3 days.
Then I too will be freed?
No. In 3 days, the king will hang you, and the birds shall eat your flesh.
Everything's ready for the Pharaoh's birthday celebration. What's holding us up?
His troubled, strange dreams, and the wise men cannot tell him the meanings.
Dreams. The Hebrew Joseph. He understood everything that happened in my dream.
And he was right about everything?
Everything, including the late baker and the birds and...
Bring him to me, at once!
Why are all the shops closing? Where's everyone going?
Yeah, what's happening?
It's Pharaoh's birthday celebration and feast.
Feast? Did you say feast?
Wasn't that?
Joseph, yes!
Oh, he grew up so fast.
I have heard you can tell the meaning of dreams. If so, you are wiser than my wise men.
The wisdom does not belong to me, but to the God I serve. He will help me know the meaning of your dreams.
I was standing by the Nile, and 7 fat cattle came up out of the river and fed on the meadow. Then 7 lean and hungry cattle came up from the river and ate the fat cattle. Then I dreamed of a stalk with 7 full and good ears of corn. Then 7 withered and thin ears of corn sprang out of the stalk, and the thin ears ate the good ones. Then I awoke.
Both dreams have the same meaning. God wants you to know what is going to happen. The 7 fat cows and the 7 good ears of corn are the next 7 years. God is telling you there will be 7 years of plenty. The 7 lean cows and the 7 thin ears of corn are the 7 years of famine that will follow the 7 years of plenty. God has given you these dreams as a warning for you to prepare for the famine. You should appoint a wise man to look after the food supply during the plentiful years, so there will be enough food for all during the famine.
A wise man, you say? Yes. I see only one wise man in my entire kingdom, and you are that man. Surely the Spirit of God is in you. This is Joseph. He is my right hand. His word you will obey. In this whole land, only I am greater than he.
Wow! I wonder what his brothers would say if they saw this, or what he would do to his brothers now.
Now you're getting to the heart of the whole story of Joseph Moki.
Now let my birthday celebration begin.
I believe the people should meet your new right hand personally. If you will excuse me, sire.
You are a wise man indeed, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Long time no see.
But I remember you. The travelers with the caravan.
That's us.
On this day of miracles, perhaps this is the most miraculous. You haven't grown a day older. And look at me.
Well, we work out a lot. You ought to try it.
Oh, yes, in this Egyptian air, and, the Nile is great for the skin.
Can't you tell? I'm much taller.
You 3 interest me. Truly. Stay, be my guests.
There's enough corn here for the whole world.
What a smart idea of yours to store the grain.
It was not my idea, Margot. It was God's plan to save a people. Enjoy this moment, for this is the last of our bounteous harvest. Now, the terrible famine begins.
Next.
Praise be to Pharaoh and to Joseph.
We'd be starving like those in Canaan if it weren't for his foresight. Next.
What a place.
It should be. He's the second most important man in Egypt.
But will he sell us the grain?
He should. We've brought enough money.
He comes. Quickly, show him respect. Bow down. Bow down!
Well, what is it? Who are you?
10 brothers from Canaan bowing to you, great majesty, out of respect.
My brothers.
What is it?
What's wrong?
Are you all right, Majesty?
Oh, Lord, I ask your guidance.
What's wrong?
What did we do?
What's going on?
I don't understand. What's wrong?
You are spies. You plan to bring an army against our stricken country.
No, Master, we are not spies.
We are brothers come to buy food for ourselves and our families.
Brothers, are you all here, or is there another? And is your father alive?
Yes, our father lives. And yes, again, there is another brother, our youngest, who remains with him.
Guards! Take that one and bind him.
Me? Why me?
You'd rather sacrifice one of your other brothers. No? How brotherly. This one goes to prison. The rest may go back with all of your sacks full of grain. But then you must return, bringing with you your youngest brother. Or I'll know you are spies, and I'll put that man to death. You don't wish to lose a brother, do you?
No, you can't take Benjamin, not my youngest.
But if we don't, he'll kill Simeon.
Simeon's as good as dead now. Look! All the money we paid for the grain is packed inside with it.
But how? Oh, great God! He'll think we took the grain and stole back our money.
You're right. It's a disaster. Simeon's dead.
No, wait. If we return with the money and Benjamin, just as he said, we'll prove we didn't steal it and we're not spies.
Why did you tell him you had a younger brother?
We told the truth. We didn't know what he'd say.
Father, this grain won't last long. We'll have to go back for more anyway.
And we can't go back without Benjamin. He might not only kill Simeon.
I've already lost Joseph. Benjamin alone is left of Rachel's children.
I must go, Father. I must. These are my brothers.
Yes, you must. God has willed it.
Here, let me fill this for you. The grain comes out pretty fast. Okay, Margot, open the gate.
Here, kid. Just watch me. Okay, Margot. Let her rip.
The men from Canaan are returning.
Yay!
Oops. Sorry, Moki.
Oh, that's okay. Just pour some milk and sugar on this cereal, and I'll eat my way out.
Yes. My lord, the Hebrews have returned, and there are 10 of them.
Then release the hostage, and tell them they are to have dinner with me.
Simeon, a free man!
You look fine.
Reuben, Levi, Judah, all together again.
They don't know who Joseph is yet, do they?
No. I wonder what he'll do when he sees Benjamin.
You are the youngest?
Yes, sir. My name is Benjamin.
Benjamin, my one true whole brother, my mother's other son.
Benjamin, what did you say to him? Did you do anything?
No, I can...
Well then, eat, brothers, drink. You get your grain and your other brother back. It's a good day for you.
Oh, indeed. It's a good day.
Yes, all right.
This is strange, do you see? We're seated according to our age. Look, how can this man know our ages?
If they only knew.
What else does he have in mind?
I know what I've got in mind.
The Hebrews are preparing to leave?
Yes, master.
Secretly put their money back as before and hide my silver cup in the young boy's sack, the one they call Benjamin.
You there! Wait! Stop! My master's silver cup is gone. You will be searched.
Search us. See for yourself. If the cup is found, let that one die in whose sack it is discovered.
And the rest of us will be your servants. If I find the cup, the one in whose sack it is found will be taken to be my master's servant.
So, you have returned evil for good.
God is surely punishing us for our sins. We are all your servants.
I don't want you. This one will be enough, the one who took the cup. The rest of you, return home.
Take him and you kill his father, our father.
Please, sir, hear me a moment. Everything you've asked of us, we've done. Even to hurting an old, feeble, loving man. He begged us not to bring Benjamin here. He lost the only other son this boy's mother had. Take me, sir. I will be your slave, but please don't kill our father by taking that boy.
I offer the same. I will be your slave.
And I as well. So will we all.
Yes. Put me back in prison if you like, but spare our brother so that his father may live. You will all do this for a father and a brother?
We will.
I am your brother. I am Joseph.
This can't be. It's
Joseph, really? I am the same Joseph you sold into Egypt. No, don't be afraid. Don't blame yourselves. I forgive you. You meant to do evil, but God has turned it into good. Everything that has happened in our family was the will of God. He sent me here to save a nation and to save you and all the families that will spring from you, who will become still another nation. This terrible famine will last 5 more years. You must bring our father, all your families. As ruler under Pharaoh, I will take care of you. I love you, my brothers.
He told them. He told them.
And he forgave them. They're a family again.
Now I know what is meant by brotherly love. Whee!
There they are, all Joseph's brothers and their families.
And look who's leading them.
Jacob, their father.
And there's Joseph.
Moving fast.
And why not? It's been a long time since he's seen his father.
Oh, that's right, I forgot. Wow, what a big family.
Oh, they're only the beginning, Moki. Joseph and his brothers began what's known today as the 12 tribes of Israel. And their numbers grew into the millions.
So all those bad things that happened to Joseph...
Everything that happened was the will of God. He sent Joseph to Egypt to save a nation, and then to save his family, and all the families that will spring from them, and...
Come on, everybody. Let's sing the books of the Old Testament.
These are the books of the Bible. Let's name them off one by one. These are the books of the Bible. Come with me and sing along. Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, and Job, Psalms and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, and Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, and Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Let's learn the Bible, you and I. Let's learn the Bible, you and I.
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to Him belong. They are weak, but He is strong. Yes, Jesus
Evelyn, it's 10 of 9. Our shuttle bus was a trifle late getting downtown this morning. We'll just have time to get your blouse and leave my things and then scoot. I haven't been late in 5 years. My boss is always bragging about my record. I think he'd honestly froth at the mouth if I were a split-second tardy. Oh, it's so embarrassing. But then, punctuality is important when you work for men in big business, Evelyn.
You're so right. I wish the younger girls in my office could understand that, dear. Mr. Ying? Mr. Ying! I wonder why he's darting about like that. Oh, excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes, we were so absorbed we didn't see you standing quietly there, sir. You're first.
I've been waiting here almost 5 minutes, quietly as you call it, and nothing has happened.
Oh, well, that's not like Mr. Ying.
He's apparently in a real sniff this morning. Look at him, hopping about back there like an enraged cricket.
Oh, my, he's usually so pleasant.
I've rung this counter bell 4 times, and all he does is stick his head out, glare at me, utter more Cantonese imprecations, and disappear.
Oh,
There,
dear.
you see?
Oh, dear me, he looks ready to start a Tong War, or whatever the Chinese call those feuds they have. Maybe we'd better come back at 5:30, Evelyn, on our way home.
Nonsense. I need that pink blouse. I need it to wear to a special directors' conference this afternoon. Mr. Ying promised me I could have it this morning, and so I shall. Mr. Ying! Now, see here, Mr. Ying, I want you to come out here. We're customers. Mr. Ying, we're busy customers, and I want...
7 of 9, Evelyn, and this gentleman is ahead of us.
Oh, no. I waive whatever rights I may have. If your companion can just get to the bottom of this, I'm not due at my office today.
Well, if you really don't mind.
Mr.
Evelyn
Ying,
is a very determined girl.
I demand that you
No,
step here
of
this
course not.
instant. Do you hear me?
What you want?
Indeed. What do we want?
Aye.
Why, my dear man, we'd like some service.
Oh, no service today, no service. Goodbye.
But you're open. I merely want to leave these things. And Mrs. Smith here just wants to pick...
No. Wash me no takey. No come worky. Gone. More money. Say he, she worky here. See, paper sign. Don't come. No good. Wash no can do. Go away.
What?
Oh, I'm sure I don't know. He told me the same thing earlier, just before you walked in.
I think I understand.
You do?
Yes. Apparently our friend Mr. Y. Ying has hired some new help. In fact, I do remember he told me last week quite proudly that he was going to. 3 young people. They'll help me give my customers better and faster service, he told me.
Well, I hardly think that this is an encouraging example. What happened?
If I'm translating properly, all 3 of them just didn't show up for work.
Poor Mr. Ying. Come on, Evelyn. It's 5 of 9. I'll have to hurry.
Aunt Sue, pity that poor Mr. Ying.
Not just him, Uncle Dan. Pity the whole world of us, or any one of us who has to depend on someone whose word doesn't mean a thing.
I'm afraid it's true that some people make promises easily, but, well, they just don't stand behind them.
Right, Uncle Dan. And that's why I'm telling my next story, so that we can see how important it is to keep one's word. I call my story
3 Weeks' Notice.
It is so easy to become careless about fulfilling the promises we make, for this is a busy world, observed the late Laura E. Clement. And it comes to seem an unimportant item, unless we happen to be depending upon someone who leaves us holding the bag, as it were. This fact was impressed upon my consciousness, she goes on, when I stood on a street corner in the boiling afternoon sun for a solid hour, waiting for a friend who had promised to meet me there. She did not appear, and later, when I telephoned to find out whether or not I had been at fault, she airily remarked,
"Oh, I just decided not to go to town today. Did you wait for me? So sorry."
Yes, to be honest is one of the backbone ingredients of life. And if you don't keep your word, you just aren't honest. To illustrate her point, she tells this story I'm retelling today for you.
Wow, look at that rain. I think we can get a taxi.
Yeah, looks fairly grim, doesn't it? I don't know.
I suspect every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the financial district here on Wall Street is out there battling to get a cab, trying to get home for the weekend.
Well, come on. Let's make a dash for it.
What? Get drenched? Oh, nonsense. We'll just purloin one of those little fellows standing over there and get him to do it. They're employed by the building's messenger service. Boys? Boy.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Which of the three of you will get a cab for Mr. Van Dynen?
I will, sir. No, I will, sir.
Oh, good. You in the blue cab. You get it. Be quick.
No. Wait a minute, Scott. You're new to our building. I'll show you something. And what about you, Carrot Top? I didn't hear you say you'd get a cab for us. Why not?
Well, I can't promise. The traffic's awfully heavy. But I'll certainly try to get you a cab, sirs, if you wish.
Good. What's your name?
Jim. James Joseph, sir, but everybody at the messenger service calls me Jimmy Joe.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, then you do it. Be quick about it.
Yes, sir.
Now, come along, Van Dynen. We'll have our cab presently, if, that is, a single empty taxi cab exists in the whole borough of Manhattan.
That boy in the blue cap was obviously older. I'd say he had a better chance of flagging down something for us. Why did you choose the little redhead?
Oh, for several reasons. The first one being that each of those three boys knows I never tip. It's against building regulations to do so, and I'm practically the only stockbroker tenanted here who never tips. Got a reputation as a regular tightwad among these boys, I have. Past experience has proved to me that either of those two larger boys who volunteered would simply have gone out, disappeared around the corner, stood there for 5 minutes in the rain with his hands in his pockets, looking in a shop window, and never even lifted his eyes to search out a taxi. Then he'd have returned, feigning himself out of breath, and announced ever so politely, "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, sir, I just couldn't flag down anything for you."
That's shocking. Then why did the first two volunteer with such seeming eagerness? Both said they'd get a cab for us.
Well, it's because these two young boys, like a good many other people in this world, have absolutely no regard for their spoken word. But that Carrot Top one, what did he say his name was?
Jimmy Joe.
Ah, yes, that's it. He's different now. Oh, he dislikes me as much as all the rest. Not over the tipping, but because I'm gruff. But he won't lie. Did you notice what he said? "I can't promise. The traffic's awfully heavy, but I'll certainly try to get you a cab, sirs, if you wish." He won't make a promise unless he knows he can carry it out. That, my dear fellow, means we'll get a cab if one's available anywhere. He tries awfully hard. For the 2 years he's worked here, I've watched that lad. If he says a thing, you can count on him. His word is as good as his bond.
7 minutes later, the two Wall Street brokers had their taxicab, were seated inside it safe and dry, as other hurrying, rain-drenched Wall Street men looked on enviously. He had done it. His word was as good as his bond. That phrase about the freckle-faced, red-haired messenger boy somehow rang all weekend in the mind of Mr. Scott Van Dynen. The Scott Van Dynen, president of the brokerage company of the same name. And by Monday morning, he'd made a little decision.
Do you really mean that, sir? At $35 a week? That's twice what I get as a messenger boy.
I do mean it. I want you to become a clerk in my office. I've heard that your word can be trusted, so I'm offering you this job. You want it?
Do I? Oh, say, I never thought I'd ever get to work in a beautiful office like this. Well, I'm just a messenger boy, and with the depression and all, and Mom being out of work, and my crippled sister, Sally, to care for, the three of us depend on my earnings. Well, that $17.50 per week is our whole income. But now...
Now, you'll have twice that much. We'll be happy to have you on our staff. I'm afraid you must excuse me. I must get back to these papers. Oh, goodbye, Jimmy. Miss Lipton, my secretary, will show you out to her desk and give you further instructions.
Follow me, Jimmy.
Well, yes, ma'am.
If all that's clear, Jimmy, then I think we've given you a comprehensive overview of your new duties. Do you think you're going to like working for Scott Van Dynen Company?
Oh, I'm going to love it, Miss Lipton.
Fine. Then you start next Monday. When you come in, report directly to my desk.
Did you say next Monday?
Yes.
Oh, but I can't start next Monday. You see, when I started work at the messenger service 2 years ago, I promised Mr. Alexander, the general manager, that I'd give him 3 weeks' notice if I ever decided to leave. So I simply...
Mr. Van Dynen specifically said to me this morning if the boy wants the job, he must start next Monday.
Otherwise, we'll get someone else. So you see, that settles it. Now, as I said, when you come in, report directly
I
to
can't
me.
start next Monday.
Well, why not? Good heavens, boy, there's a depression on. Someone offers you the chance to work for Scott Van Dyne and Company at their new headquarters for $35 a week, and you say you can't? You be here.
Yes, ma'am.
And so Jimmy Joe trudged to the elevator, got on, and rode down 24 stories to the lobby of the huge office building. He should have been elated, on top of the world, but he wasn't. $35 a week. Lots of grown men even weren't making that much money. And as a clerk in the offices of Scott Van Dyne and Company, who knows what the future might hold? Why, in 5 years, 10 years, he might become something, maybe office manager. It was like a beautiful dream come true. If only it weren't for the fact he'd promised Mr. Alexander 3 weeks' notice.
No, I'm sorry, lad. No jobs today.
But please, Mr. Alexander, I need this job. We don't have any money at home. My father is dead, and I'm the man of the house now. Mom and Sally are depending on me.
I'm afraid lots of people are in your shoes. This is 1933. The Depression is on if you didn't know it. I'm sorry. I just don't need you.
I've got to have this job.
But I've already hired the 5 boys I need. I've said that 10 times.
I'll work for half what you pay them. I'll work an hour longer every day than they do. Please.
All right. It's against my better judgment, and it'll just about wreck my messenger service budget. But there's something about you I like. Come in Friday. You'll get 2 uniforms. I expect you to be punctual, energetic, and courteous. You'll be paid the same $17.50 a week as the other boys. And heaven help me if the owner of the firm finds out I've hired 6 boys instead of the 5 I originally requested.
Thank you, sir.
Now, occasionally, I probably will ask you to work that extra hour a day free. And I'll expect 3 weeks' notice if ever you decide to leave. Not just the standard 2. Is that a bargain?
Oh, yes, sir. And anytime you say, I'll work that extra hour.
Hey, Jimmy Joe, Mr. Alexander's looking for you. Your rest period's nearly over. Where'd you go?
Huh? Oh, just up on the 24th floor. He sent me up there with a personal letter for a Mr. Van Dynen.
Scott Van Dynen? Say, he's a big wheel. Did you get to see him?
Sure. I took the letter into his office. Mr. Alexander said I was to give it to him and nobody else, so I did.
Wow, they say he has some office. Pretty swell, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's real neat. Well, I'll bet President Roosevelt doesn't have an office that elegant.
Boy, wouldn't I give something to work for him. That would really be something, huh? Come on. Oh, here's Mr. Alexander.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. You took a few minutes longer than needed, it seems to me, Jim. Did you give that letter to Mr. Van Dynen personally, as I directed?
Oh, yes, sir.
And?
And what, sir?
Was there no reply?
No, sir.
I see. Well, get along with you now. There's plenty of delivery work stacked up waiting for both you boys. Tommy will tell you about it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Alexander.
Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy Joe.
Yes, Mr. Alexander?
Now, come here a moment.
Yes, sir.
Now, isn't there something you wish to tell me?
No, sir.
Nothing at all?
No, sir.
You're sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, come in, Miss Lipton. What is it?
It's the Joseph boy, sir. He was here again a few moments ago. It seems he has a verbal agreement with his current employer which requires him to give 3 weeks' notice before leaving. He begged me, pleaded that I hold the job open for 3 weeks. I refused, and he wanted then to see you.
I suspected that he would. He's an appealing chap, that boy. But no, he must deal with you, Miss Lipton, and please follow my exact instructions.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Joe quit work that afternoon on what should have been the happiest day of his life. He headed home, but not before he explained the whole predicament to 18-year-old Tommy, a fellow messenger boy and his best friend.
And that's what happened, Tommy. I went back up there a few minutes ago and tried to talk to Mr. Van Dynen, but he refused to see me. When I asked Miss Lipton if they wouldn't please hold the job for me for 3 weeks, she just looked at me kind of funny-like and said, "Well, I'm sorry. I have my instructions. If you don't report Monday morning, we'll look for another boy."
What are you gonna do? Say, are you crazy or something? What's the matter with you? Don't you got no brains? I wouldn't waste a hot second figuring out what I would do.
You'd go in on Monday?
Bet your life I would. Listen, old Baggy Pants Alexander can't stop you, can he?
You shouldn't talk about him like that, Tommy. He's been real nice. Well, Mr. Alexander gave me a job here when I needed it in the worst kind of way. I can't forget that.
Well, you'd better start looking out for number one, kid. Everybody else in this world does. For $35 a week and a shot at working for that tycoon, Scott Van Dynen, I'd walk across the East River on my hands. Your mom needs that money, don't she? 3 weeks' notice? Huh. I just walk out Friday without saying nothing. If you give Alexander any clue you're going, he'll go up to Van Dynen's and mess things up for you. Nah, use your head. Tell him nothing. Just quit Friday and never come back.
At home that evening, in their bare little 4-room walk-up apartment in Brooklyn, Sarah Joseph and her daughter Sally listened with pride and glowing eyes to the good fortune that had come to their own Jimmy. And when he explained what he would have to do, break his word, Mrs. Joseph took a slightly different and troubled view of the wonderful new job.
Perhaps if you went to Mr. Alexander and explained.
Oh, it's no use, Mom. Mr. Alexander's very strict, and he gets real mad. Boy, has he got a temper. Well, he insists on 3 weeks' notice. It's his rule, and he won't change it for anybody. Besides, it would be wrong to ask him to make an exception. He's told us all many times that people who ask others to bend the rules a little for their benefit are a scourge to society. No, it won't do any good at all to talk to him.
Then what will you do, Jimmy?
I think I'll just have to quit Friday with no notice at all, just like that. After all, it's the way Tommy said. He really can't stop me, you know, and I'll go in Monday to the new job.
Son, is that your decision? Are you sure it's the right thing to do?
It's what I've got to do, Mom. It's right for me to get that money for you and Sally, for us. That's what's right.
Mrs. Joseph wisely said no more. But that evening, during their devotions when they read from the Torah, she very carefully selected a passage from the Psalms of David. It was the 15th Psalm, and she asked Sally, Jimmy Joe's pretty, crippled little sister, to read it aloud.
Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly, and worketh righteousness, and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor. In his eyes a vile person is condemned, but he honoureth them that feareth the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt, and changeth not.
What does that mean, Sally? He that sweareth to his own hurt, and changeth not. What does it mean, darling?
Why, Mother, it's just like Papa used to explain before he died. When he read this to us, it means someone who sacredly keeps all his promises. Somebody who gives his word and stands by it even when he suffers.
That's right, darling. Go on.
He that sweareth to his own hurt, and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved.
Afterwards came their prayers to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then to bed. But that night, in the darkness of his little sleeping alcove, and every night thereafter during the entire week, Jimmy Joe heard the sweet voice of Sally repeating something he tried hard to shut out of his mind.
He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not.
Wednesday came, Thursday, and then Friday. Several times when he was free, Jimmy Joe found himself standing in front of Mr. Alexander's office, ready to open the door and go in. But somehow he didn't. Once Mr. Alexander came out and caught him there.
Well, what is it, Jimmy Joe? Do you want to see me?
No. No, sir.
And then it was Monday morning. His mother and sister watched him as he arose, put on his best and only suit, carefully adjusted his tie, ate breakfast, and said goodbye. Sally seemed on the verge of asking something as he went out the apartment door, but her mother gave her a long, reproving look, and nobody said anything. An hour later, he was in the financial district, and whistling a little tune, he entered the giant building where he worked, quickly passed by the messenger service office in its lobby, took the elevator, and zoomed up to the 24th floor. Turning the knob on a door impressively marked, the Scott Van Dynen Company, stockbrokers, he jauntily walked in.
Oh, Jimmy, there you are. My, how nice you look in your suit. And that matching cap, very nice. You're going to have a wonderful first day. Now, if you'll step this way, I'll show you where you're going to be working. Just hang your cap up right there.
No, I'd best keep it, Miss Lipton. I won't be staying long.
What?
I just won't be able to take this job. But since Mr. Van Dynen was nice enough to offer it to me, I thought I'd like to thank him in person, Miss Lipton, before I go back down to the messenger service.
You can't be serious. How absurd.
Oh, I know. My pal Tommy used another word, but I can't repeat it, seeing as you're a lady. But may I see Mr. Van Dynen?
Turn down a chance to make twice the salary you get now just to keep your word to Alexander, eh?
Well, I'm afraid so, sir. Well, Mr. Alexander would hit the ceiling. He'd never agree to release me from my promise.
I've heard Alexander's like that.
Well, and I wouldn't ask him to.
I've heard you were like that, but I didn't believe it.
What, sir?
Oh, nothing. Is that all, Jimmy?
Oh, no, sir. I mean, there is something else. I guess you know I'm Jewish.
Yes, I do.
Well, I thought you knew. And I guess you must have wanted to give a Jewish boy a break. Well, almost nobody hires Jews in companies like yours, so I doubly appreciate what you tried to do for me. That's all, sir. I mean, that's all I came to say.
Your word really means that much to you.
Yes, sir.
Well, that settles it. You come over here. You remember that letter your boss, Mr. Alexander, had you deliver to me personally the first time you entered this office?
Yes, sir.
Well, we'd been having a little argument over you. After that wet night when you got that cab for Mr. Thompson and me, and Craig Thompson spoke so highly of you, I decided I wanted any boy with such high principles on my staff. I telephoned Alexander. He said he'd be happy to see you advance, sorry to see you go, but definitely that I couldn't get you to start when I wished. In fact, he sent me this little letter. Here, read it. You delivered it to me.
Dear Mr. Van Dynen, Jimmy Joe is delivering this message to you. You can offer him the entire world, and he isn't going to break his word to me. Test him. Sincerely yours, Earl H. Alexander, Superintendent, Mallory Messenger Service.
Mr. Alexander was right. You came through with flying colors, Jimmy. A boy like you, a lad who stands by his promises, whose word, as my friend Craig Thompson says, is as good as his bond, is what the entire world is looking for. You go back down to Alexander, give him his 3 weeks' notice, and serve out your time. Then come back to me. I've got no sons or daughters, no relatives to succeed me as head of this brokerage firm. For years I've searched for the right man to step in after me. You're going to be that man, Jimmy Joe. Oh, it'll be long, tough, grinding work. It'll mean years of effort. We'll have to get some college into you. At company expense, of course. But I know you'll succeed. Any boy will whose word is as good as his bond. Miss Lipton.
Yes, Mr. Van Dynen.
Get Jimmy Joe his cap. He's a great messenger boy, and I know he doesn't want to be late for work down there in the lobby.
The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall.